This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Go Hayes hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to A's Cast Live as we have another fantastic show for you here on a Wednesday. A lot to get into. We've had to change some things because if you haven't been following what's going on, at least the last couple days, Arlington is a dumpster fire. It's an absolute dumpster fire. And it is for everybody. Like, we got to be clean, right? I mean, what's going on with the A's? What's going on with the Rangers? If you haven't heard, we're going to update you right now. But, man, I mean, we got guests planned. Guests can't come up now. I mean, it's been kind of a wild day for us just to take you behind the curtain. Roxy Bernstein is going to be here. He's calling the game at 2:30. Obviously, things are a little different because, as you can see, Cody is not with me, and I have to use my computer for the show today, so I'll have to look right a lot. Paul Hembekides from ESPN. I'm shocked. Hembo on the morning show Get Up is allowed to come on today. I'm surprised he's allowed to even go home and be with his wife. And I know his wife's pregnant with twins. I'm surprised he's allowed to even partake in his family now that LeBron James has signed a contract extension. I thought, like, anything that happens with LeBron, ESPN just has to go LeBron 24/7. Everybody has to give up their lives. But somehow, some way, Paul Hembekides is going to join us at 3 o'clock. And then we have a new podcast for A's Cast. And it's going to be really special. And it's not about the team. It's not about the players. I mean, so much of what we do is about the players. But you know what? The players, they don't make up this franchise. I know you love them. They're why you watch. I get it. But they're not the franchise. Folks, players come and go. They don't stick around. Ricky Henderson, Ricky Henderson field, Ricky Henderson this, Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson hasn't stolen a base for the A's in how many years? I mean, none of the players have done anything. All these greats, I mean, let's face it. What makes the franchise go around are the great employees of the franchise. Players will always come and go. Great players will come and go. But it's the people in this franchise that make the franchise what it is. And I know you go, well, I don't pay to see them. But let me tell you something. They're the people that make everything happen. And a lot of people that we're going to bring on are people that help these guys get to be Hall of Fame type players and great players and all-stars and MVPs and everything. Players don't do it alone. And then the next crop of players doesn't do it alone. And then the next crop. Well, we're going to unveil part of our new series called Inside the A's, a podcast that's going to run on A's Cast. And we're going to do it not only throughout the season, but through the offseason. And we're going to lead off with the vice president of stadium operations, a man who's been with the Athletics for 42 years. A lot of you fans know him. You know him personally. The great David Rinetti. It will debut today. Inside the A's. He's our leadoff hitter. He is our Ricky Henderson. And you're going to get about 15 minutes of it, but I can tell you the conversation, fabulous. It's a half hour long about his life growing up in Oakland, starting with the A's as a teenager, never working for anybody else, and the crazy stories that go with running the Coliseum. There's a lot of crazy stories. A lot of things have happened other than just A's baseball. I think you're going to love it. We're going to take you inside to places you've never been before. Talk to people you may not know about, but you'll figure out how important they are. I think it's a great time to do it. So you'll get your first look at Inside the A's here coming up at 3:30. So Roxy at 2:30, Hembo from ESPN at 3 o'clock, and David Rinetti at 3:30. I saw this note, and it makes me feel good. If you're a baseball fan, I promise you this is going to make going to go, all right, I'm looking forward to this. I just want to pull up the standings before I give you this. But I saw this note today, and, there was a lot of people. Remember when we went through the collective bargaining agreement and you had those, let's just call them what they are, not very smart business people. It's unfortunate that there's people with high standing. There's people that have been in baseball a long time. They've been in the media or they've been broadcasters or whatever. They're good at what they do. But when you ask for their opinions on certain things, especially business matters, they're just not very good at that. And that's a really politically nice way to say it. They don't get it. And we told you here on A's Cast Live, expanding playoffs will be great for the game. It hasn't hurt anybody else. Did it hurt the NFL? Did it hurt the NBA? Did it hurt the NHL? Did it hurt college football? God knows, one of the biggest moneymakers in professional sports history. If you base the timeline, the amount of money, and when the event is, the success of the NCAA tournament is absolutely historic. The amount of money that this basketball tournament, it's college, not the NBA, not the best players in the world, it's college. Some of these teams, or a lot of these teams, don't even have a guy who will ever even play in the NBA. College is financially one of the greatest models we've ever seen in American sports. And it's not a season. It's one tournament, one time a year. It is so popular. It gets amazing ratings. We all love it. Even if you're not even a college basketball fan, you'll love it. You'll love it. Or once you learn about it, you're going to love it. It's a major success. Money, ratings, entertainment, we love it. And all they do is keep expanding it. So I've been trying to figure out all this time. If I can tell you, NFL, NBA, NHL, college football, golf, college basketball, everywhere we look, tennis, expanding championship play is nothing more than a cash cow and brings more entertainment. But for some reason in our sport, baseball, people that have worked in our game and around our game for a long time just don't get it. And they're never going to get it. And it's why you don't see us bring them on anymore. There's certain times I don't want to talk to these people because they don't understand it. They don't get it. And they're going to give you this, I liked it the way it used to be. Well, it's not the 60s. It's not the 70s. Some go back to the 50s. It's not even the 90s. Expanding playoff baseball has already proven it's going to be good. Because those naysayers said, it's going to kill the trading deadline. 29 teams made trades. 29 out of the 30 teams made trades. Did you know that? 29. And then how about this? We got 50 days remaining in the schedule. 50 days. 18 of the 30 teams, that's 60%, are either in playoff position or within 5 games of a playoff spot. 50 games to play, We now see the finish line. You're running that race, right? If you've ever run any type of marathon, smaller marathon, anytime you've run these races, you're like, oh my God. And you see the finish line. You can now see it. It's in the distance, but you can see it. You're one win streak away, one losing streak away from, oh my God. The Braves are reeling in the Mets. The New York Yankees are 2 for their last. Wait, hold on. I have a note on this. The Yankees have scored 9 runs in their last 7 games. Commander had it for us. And Cody, I can't even see you. Hold on. Cody, how are you?
I'm good. If people don't know, I'm at our studio in Jack London Square. So this is where I'm working from today. You can even see the nice A's Cast mic flag that we had set up years ago. It's been a while since we've been in this Jingletown studio that's the size of a closet.
Why aren't you wearing a mask? I'm fearing for your safety.
It's actually pretty safe in here. So I feel okay being here.
By the way, that mic, and I remember now being in there doing shows, that mic sounds different. It's got a different sound to it.
I think because we're used to a little bit, we're used to using the headsets a little bit. So having us using an actual microphone and not the headset, it's a little different for us. But the Yankees are now, I believe, 2-11 since they traded Joey Gallo. So
they're the New York Yankees. I hope I have Vince. Do I have Vince or Roxy today?
Might be Roxy. I'm not entirely sure.
Because next time I have Vince on, remember Vince was crowning the Yankees World Series champs in June.
8-17.
I made the prediction that the Yankees will not be in the World Series. Now the Yankees still have a sizable lead in the East, and I do believe they'll end up winning the East. But that's down to 9. It was double digits. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They are not scoring. They have lost 3 in a row, and they're going to go into the postseason looking like a team that is, let's say, super vulnerable. But Cody, wouldn't you say this is the great thing about the expanded playoffs, and it's paying off? Look how many teams are still in it. 29 out of the 30 teams made a trade. I mean, it just shows. Now, some of those teams are like the A's were giving away player, but it was movement. Look at all the movement. 29 out of 30 made trades. Look at all the teams that are in the playoff hunt right now with 50 games remaining. Well, the A's have 45 games remaining. But as a baseball fan, I mean, Cody, isn't this going to be great? You're coming down the stretch, and there's so many different teams. And hopefully we'll get that magic of the final weekend where so many teams are still in play for those playoff spots, including the extra playoff spots.
I think you already mentioned it. It's tremendous for the game. And you got a team like Baltimore who they sold off 2 players at the deadline, and they're actually playing a lot better since the deadline. They're down 1-0 right now against the Blue Jays, but they're trying to sweep the Blue Jays in Toronto to be within, I think they're already a half game, our game back from the final wild card, and they're in it for a team that no one thought was going to be there. And then a team like the Padres, who is sitting in the 3rd wild card spot right now, but they're struggling. They're winning today, but they could potentially miss the playoffs, and a team like Milwaukee could get in where the Padres, everyone crowned them. They were going to go to the World Series and play the Yankees. By the way, you will have Vince Cotroneo, the great Robert Costa let me know. So you will have Vince today. So
I got Vince. Vince had the Yankees winning the World Series in June. A lot of people, they're invincible. They're gonna break the Mariners' record of 116 wins. That's what I was told, and I said, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, they've lost 5 straight years.
2 one-dimensional, and one of their big dimensions is on the IL, of course, Giancarlo Stanton. I know you're not shocked. Achilles tendonitis. Aaron Judge is only going to carry us so far. I haven't checked, but last time I heard, they'd only won 3 games this year where they didn't homer. And once, Donaldson's not hitting, the other guy's not hitting, and it's all Aaron Judge. Bullpen hasn't been as good. You're relying on Lou Trevino. Yeah, you're not so invincible anymore. Hey, could they still make it? Sure. My money's against them. Big news today. Big news, and we'll talk to Roxy coming up here at 2:30. Elvis made the comments, and I'm sure the comments played to this. I think the comments, they are what they are. You know, players feel very entitled, and that's part of the organization's fault. The organizations dote on these guys like you wouldn't believe. Baseball is a sport like no other. Baseball is a sport that you can be old, bad, and we still give you standing ovations every single time because of what you used to do. I mean, I don't know of another sport that does that. I mean, look at the way we have treated Albert Pujols. Look at the way we have treated Miguel Cabrera. Elvis Andrus is, hey, a guy of my caliber. I understand what you used to do, but I know what you do now. And what you do now, it's not great. And there's these expectations that you treat guys, hey, he's a big leaguer. He's been a big leaguer for a long time. What the hell does that mean? I mean, in other sports, once you can't play, they move on because that's what happens. I would expect the same thing for myself, but when I'm not firing at my best and I don't have my bullets and I'm not the best talk show host I can be, move on from me. I get it. Why should I have to celebrate you for being a two? What was Elvis hitting at the end? And I know he hit a home run last night.
He finished his career as a 241 hitter with the A's, 11 home runs, 67 RBI, and a 638 OPS. And his year and a half with the A's?
638. I mean, come on. Come on. What are we talking about? Stephen Piscotty was hitting under 200. They're great people. I get it. But this is professional sports. You win or you lose. You either compete and put up numbers or they go find somebody else.
237 Elvis was hitting this year.
237. What does anybody owe anybody hitting two? You're getting paid. Is he not getting paid? You're getting paid millions of dollars to be a below average player. But in baseball, we have, the reverence for a big leaguer and a guy who's been around for a long time. So what makes Tom Brady so great? Tom Brady's what, 43? How old's Tom?
45. Be close.
He's not 45 yet.
He's 45. He just turned 45.
No way is Tom Brady 45.
Tom Brady's birthday is August 3rd, 1977. He just turned 45.
Wow. I thought he was still like 43, 40. Tom Brady's 45 years old and competes every day at practice.
Not this year, but every year prior, yes. He's taking time off this training camp.
All I know is that guy for how many years battled every day like he had to earn his spot. Every day. Go to a practice for the Chicago Bulls back in the day, and Chicago Bulls practice was like a game because Michael Jordan came to play. Hungover, up all night, gambling, get up, play golf, whatever. Michael Jordan came to practice. He came to play. The great ones, they're not sitting there talking about what they used to do and why you owe them. They play every day, every day. I mean, they play every day like it's game on. We don't owe you. We don't owe you because you used to be good. It's a dumb concept. It truly is a dumb concept. And you signed the contract, man. That's the other thing that drives me nuts. Is like all of a sudden that as you see when you sign that contract, you didn't think about the end of it. You only think about making the money now, what it's going to be, and it's going to set up your family. Don't feel bad for Elvis. He's made over $130 million in his career. But he signed that contract, so he knew at the end of his contract to get that extra year, he's going to need the plate appearances. But when he signed that contract, he didn't think he'd be leaking oil at the end the way he was. We don't know anybody. We don't. We play that game in baseball for some reason. When you're not getting the job done in the NFL, what happens to you, Cody?
You get cut.
When you're not getting the job done in the NBA, Cody, what happens to you?
Cut or waivers or traded.
You don't play. You sit at the end of the bench. If they have to just have you because they have to have you, they sit you at the end of the bench. You don't even get in. You come out, you do shoot around, and then for the rest of the game, you wear your jumpsuit. You don't play. No standing ovations, no Yadier Molina standing out in front of home plate so the St. Louis crowd can constantly just shower you with praise and you're hitting 220. That doesn't happen in other sports. And some of you may say that's the romantic side of baseball. I would agree. But then somebody like me has to bring you back to reality. Romance is over. We need to move on. What's best for Nick Allen? It's not Elvis bitching about his plate appearances when he's hitting 237. All right. You got a lot of game left? We'll see. 29 other teams. He's going to clear waivers. Now, interesting conversation here is the 550 plate appearances. Could Elvis get that? And I'm sure the A's are thinking he's got to clear waivers, which is how many days?
It's at least a few, and he's at 386 plate appearances on the year, so he needed another 164.
So there's going to be, he's not playing tonight. Then there's the X amount of days it takes to get through waivers.
Sorry, 114.
And then if someone signs him, he's not going to play every day because the A's would have to worry about that. Because if he went and got those plate appearances, he clears waivers and goes signs with somebody, that contract's still out there. Just because you DFA somebody doesn't mean the contract doesn't exist, I believe.
I'm not sure on the parameters of that, but we were kind of throwing that around this morning. A couple of us here in the office, like, what contender could Elvis go to? And we threw out the Braves or the Yankees, but I'm like, no one's going to want to pay that $15 million. Well, he can opt in after the 550. So he's 164
They wouldn't owe that to him unless they claim him off waivers. If they don't claim him, if no one claims him and he becomes a free agent, that's a different deal he would sign.
Yeah, and theoretically, I believe that's correct. I'm not a front office guy, but I'm going to take your word for it.
I'll play a front office guy right here. What time is it?
2:23.
Chris Townsend, assistant general manager, Major League Baseball.
23.
223. Elvis gets to that 550, which now the A's are going mathematically impossible. He's going to have to sit out X amount of days. No one's going to claim him. And they're doing it where he lives. So I don't know where Elvis is living in the Bay Area, if he's renting or whatever, but you can have somebody go over there, clean up your stuff, and send it to Texas. I mean, what's great for Elvis is that he lives somewhere in the Dallas area. Arlington is just outside of Dallas. Like, you can see downtown Dallas from Arlington. I believe so. Is that correct? I think so.
Yeah,
but
Arlington's
Huh? What?
Arlington is not far from Dallas.
No, it's not. But he lives somewhere around there, so he can pack up his stuff and go home. So maybe they're doing it now instead of bringing him back to Oakland, and he can take care of that. Maybe they're kind of doing him a solid that way. I'm not sure. But I do know this. Nick Allen, here you go. By the way, where's Nick Allen hitting tonight?
I haven't looked at the lineup. I'm going to pursue.
You haven't looked at the lineup?
I'm going to presume leading off.
Nick Allen, leading off, playing shortstop. What has yours truly wanted all this time?
For Nick Allen to play shortstop and lead off?
There you go. I've been asking for this, and why not see it? Nick Allen playing short.
Oh, David
Let's
McKinnon's
see
making his A's debut.
Yep, we got another debut tonight. Let's see it. Because what's key here is these kids come up and they learn how to be a pro. Even though they're already pros. Remember, you get paid, you're a pro. In the minor leagues, you're a professional baseball player. But you understand the big league lifestyle. You understand you got to go find a place. You understand the travel, the hotels, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your body. You got to talk to the media. You got to do a bunch of different things that you've never done before if you played college baseball into minor league baseball, or you were in high school and went into minor league baseball. I mean, you talk about a jump going from a high school baseball player to being a professional baseball player in the minor leagues. I mean, it's a different world. You're not living with mom and dad or just mom or just dad or grandma anymore. You're now traveling around God knows where in which towns playing in minor league baseball. But now you're in the big leagues. So it's key to get the God. I got to call Bip Roberts back. Man, Bip and I were exchanging, and Bip would be a great guy to talk about this because Bip, was Rule 5 guy, sent back down. I mean, Bip's done it all in the game. And just talk about what that taste of big league life is like to get you ready, because what we need to do with all these young guys is get them ready to compete for jobs next year in spring training. When we go to Ho-Ho-Camp Park next year, spring training, we need these kids ready to truly compete for jobs. Not given jobs, not handed jobs, winning jobs. So you go, Nick Allen is the shortstop. Why? Because he won that job. He's the best option we have. Let's go. And all these kids, bring them up. Let's see. Christian Pache was handed a job. How did it work? How did it work, Cody?
He's back in AAA, working on some things, hitting 262.
He never earned it. He never earned the job. And it sent him back down. Now, hopefully he's going to come back. By the way, Braves ink up another young guy.
Unbelievable. Michael Harris II, 8 years, $72 million. So if you're counting at home, and I know you are, that's Michael Harris, that's Austin Riley, both under 25. Ronald Acuna Jr., he's inked up for his deal was 8 years. He's under 25. Ozzy Albies, 5 years. 5 years. Or was it sad? I can't remember. Either way, he's under 25. Matt Olson's 28, but you got Olson for 8 years. They got everyone locked up. It's a smart way to run your team.
Well, it also tells you what they thought about Christian Pache.
Well, I also said it too about how much they thought of William Contreras, who's catching for them. They traded Langoliers, who's our top prospect, and they traded him away, and they have a top catcher who was an all-star this year, by the way.
They're locking up all these young guys under 25. They're the world champs, by the way. They've reeled the Mets in, and they have 2 games left in this series. They got to go against Scherzer and DeGrom in these next 2, correct?
I'd have to look. I thought that they were saying that the Mets were actually going to miss them. Let me see. I have the app open right now.
They're going the next 2 games, or if they miss them, whoa.
You're right. Yeah, it's Scherzer tomorrow. Sorry, I thought they said that they were going to miss them.
Who's tonight?
Scherzer's tonight, and tomorrow's DeGrom.
There you go. You just follow my lead. I'm trying to set you up. I'm like Jason Kidd, just throwing dimes out here, and you're just dropping passes. You've been meetings all day. That's your problem.
Yeah. Jay Odorizzi pitching tonight for the Braves, the newly acquired from the Astros.
So let me ask you a question, going back to the standings. If the Mets lose the next 2 games to the Braves, and the Braves are only a game and a half back, how much are Mets personnel and Mets fans going, here we go again? Something always happens to the Mets. The last time it didn't was the Subway Series in 2000, and the Mets unfortunately had to play another great Yankee team. But all these years, Mets always have something go on. and there's collapses and there's injuries and there's craziness and ownership and blah, 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 blah. If the Braves at home can win these next 2 games and they beat Scherzer and they beat DeGrom, which you're not even beating guys anymore, because I'm going to have to admit something later on in the show. Cody, can you make a note of that?
Yes, if you're going to admit you're wrong, I definitely will make a note of it. I mean, I have to do it. I don't know. You make me admit when I was wrong.
No, I'm not wrong, but I admit when I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I'm just going to have to change the way I think. I think I'm officially, after getting excited for Dylan Cease and Justin Verlander yesterday, and I got my scorebook here and I'm watching the A's game on my television, and then on my computer, it's the South Side of Chicago, it's Houston, it's Verlander, it's Cease, it's White Sox, and your boy Dylan Cease in this big matchup goes a big 5 innings.
That's what he normally does, though, because he throws so many strikes, or he throws so many pitches.
It's 90 pitches, 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. Panic, take him out. These big pitching matchups don't matter anymore. It's just, I have to just realize that your generation is ruining starting pitching. So they're like starters, but they're not. They're like 5 innings, maybe 6, and then it's to the bullpen. And it's really your generation front office people that are doing it. And it's just, that's how everybody wants to play now. So I can't get excited about starters anymore. I just can't. I guess I'll have to live and die and go out with Justin Verlander.
Most likely.
The rest of them are sheep. They're sheep.
By the way, Roxy's here, so I'll add him to the stream.
Roxy Bernstein, how are you?
Hi, Uncle Townie. What's going on?
I just said after last night, I'm changing my ways. I got all excited for Verlander Cease. I was watching the A's on my TV, but I put that game on my computer because I was sold this Broadway play. You got to get tickets for it. It's the best. It's a pitching matchup of the century. Dylan Cease goes 5 innings and he's out. You know what? Death of the starting pitcher. Roxy, I'm not going to get excited about starters anymore. They're just not who they used to be. And it's like Justin Verlander and I will retire together when starting pitchers meant something. Now it's 5 and dive and everybody's happy. I'm sorry.
So you, Justin Verlander, Kate Upton riding off into the sunset, huh?
That's it. He and I are going to play golf and just look at her all day long. That's it. It's over. It's over. I have to admit it. Where's my 401k? I got to sell my house.
How often do these much anticipated matchups, doesn't matter what the sport is, Chris, how often do these matchups live up to the billing, right? Up to the hype. Like, we build it up a quarter of the time, maybe less. And we get so excited for these matchups and it's so hard to live up to it. And I think that plays into it, that, look, these guys, whether it's Verlander, Cease, or whoever, they're not going to be at the top of their game every night. They're going to have off nights. They're not going to have their A stuff every game. I think that was an example of it last night. They weren't bad, but it wasn't what we'd come to expect the last number of starts.
Oh, but he'll be lights out against Kansas City, and MLB Network will talk about how great he is. I'm done with it. It's like Brady Manning going up against each other. Then at half, Manning's not coming out for the second half. He's a little tired. He's thrown too many passes.
Gosh, I remember I was calling a game. It was like the biggest game of the year. It was on the Bayou. It was LSU, Florida. Gino Torretta and I are doing the game when Florida was number 1 and they had – what's that?
Yeah, LSU, Florida, SEC, back in the day. That's a big
Saturday
game.
night, Death Valley, Baton Rouge. Florida was number 1 with Tebow.
Ooh.
LSU was number 4, and the game was an absolute dud. 13-3 was the final score. It's not always going to live up to our dreams and our imaginations of what the game is going to be like.
At this time of the year, do you start, like, as much as you're knee-deep in baseball, does the college football blood start get flowing because you know it's right around the corner and big games are coming your way?
Oh, yeah. In fact, this morning, Chris, I was doing some work to get ahead of the game for my opening week of college football because I have 2 games that opening week. So I was printing out rosters, getting some depth charts from schools today, just to kind of get ahead of the game. It's something to read on the way home and do some work tomorrow on the flight back to the Bay Area from Dallas tomorrow. Even though I've got some more baseball coming up next weekend. I'll be in St. Louis Saturday, Sunday, Braves, Cardinals. But, you have to stay in tune, and there's only so much prep time I have, so I might as well jump into it, especially when I have 2 games that first week like I do with Arizona State on a Thursday, then UCLA on Saturday.
Oh,
Rose Bowl.
really gonna be interesting just in your travels, because you're being Pac-12 network like you do, you're gonna run into all the big boys up there in that press box, the administrators, athletic directors. You're gonna get some really interesting info about the future of college sports, which is such huge business, college football. What's going to happen with the Pac-12? I was just playing I just played golf 2 days ago in the morning with a guy who was you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you were frozen for a second. I was just playing golf with a UW graduate, a guy that lives up in Seattle, and he's like, I think we're going to go to the Big Ten, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next couple months, and you're going to be right knee deep in it.
My gut says, Chris, it's going to calm down, that everything for the next little while is going to be status quo. But I do believe we are headed down the road of mega conferences, and it's going to be the haves versus the have-nots. And where, for example, will my alma mater be? Will there be enough chairs for Cal at the end of the day? And what's going to happen with Stanford and Oregon and Washington, the teams that are left? I do believe that there'll be some strength in the Pac-12 teams that are left. I know the hearings were going on today down at LA as far as the regents and looking into why UCLA is trying to move to the Big Ten, but it's going to be an uncomfortable couple of years here, I think, for both USC and UCLA as they're exiting the conference. And it certainly is a weird time in college athletics, and especially in the Pac-12.
Can I do my traditional Rip Cal low-hanging fruit joke?
If you want, but you don't want to take your shot. Bears probably the best team in the Bay Area, but go ahead.
I'm just going to say, hey, no USC, no UCLA, no Washington, no Oregon. Maybe Cal can finally make it to a Rose Bowl.
You know what? The way my life has gone, all I've wanted is to see Cal in the Rose Bowl once. I don't care how we get there. I really don't. I just want to see it. Am I asking for too much by the time I die as I want to see Cal in a Rose Bowl?
I can already – let me predict it. Good Cal season. Welcome to the Sun Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Cal Bears up against but, take the Sun Bowl, Roxy. Enjoy it. In Texas –
where is Chevin Cordero going to take the Mighty Spartans this year?
Hey, look out. We're climbing a mountain. Coach Brennan, by the way. We got to talk about him. I saw him at dinner the other night, man. Now – and Lawrence Fan, I don't know who to contact. The great Lawrence Fan, unfortunately, passed away.
Crushed.
I
don't know great man Lawrence was.
Who the new SID is at San Jose State. But right now in Texas, I understand Elvis, Piscotti. I have no problem with it. Good guys, but it is what it is. We need to move forward as an organization. But they're tough conversations. People like the players. It's just tough. And then I look over on the other side. It's like dueling dumpster fires right now. You fire your
Hey, Roxy. I don't know what happened there.
I'm back, Cody.
Well, no, you were there. It was I think it was on Chris's end for some reason.
Can you guys hear me now?
I got you, Uncle Townie.
Okay, did you hear what I said about dumpster fires?
Well, you're going on. How about, so the A's make a move and they have to get upstaged every day by the Rangers, right? The A's released Stephen Piscotti, who just a consummate pro, such a great guy. It stinks, but it's the nature of the beast. And they have to make a managerial change that day, right? Today, part ways with Elvis Andrus. And now all of a sudden the Rangers have to counter and they have to move on from John Daniels. So no matter what the A's do, they have to get overshadowed because in Texas it's always bigger, right?
Well, you probably didn't hear me say it's dueling dumpster fires in
Yeah.
each dugout, right? They got their dumpster fire. We have our dumpster fire. And, we just talk so much, the old baseball guard who I rip on a consistent basis because they're just so out of touch. There's no time and patience anymore in sports. There's just not. The money's too big. There's too much at stake. And I know Ranger people were preaching, hey, I know we signed Marcus and Seager, but, they got them in-house, and then it's really about next year when they're going to.
Again, I'm not sure what's going on, Roxy.
The Gremlins are getting Uncle Townie, huh?
I guess. I mean, the internet here in Oakland is tremendous.
The internet here at Globe Life Field in Texas is very good, I'm guessing.
I know you're coming through just fine. And I see Chris in the background, but he's like spottily moving around and everything else. But I'll ask you a question. What is your first impressions of Shea Langoliers after he made during his Major League debut last night?
Well, keep in mind, Cody, it's not my first impression because I had him a bunch when he was at Baylor. I had him in the postseason twice with Baylor in the NCAA regionals when they played, one year at Stanford and one at UCLA, and I had one of his games against Oklahoma in college. So I got to see Shea play a little bit, and obviously I know his coach, Steve Rodriguez, who joined you yesterday, and I already knew the talents and what he was capable of. But yesterday, how about that? First pitch of his Major League career, and he rips a double to left. And it's funny, talking to him post-game, he wasn't sure the ball was fair. And that's why he paused and hesitated rounding first. But what a moment for him. And first Major League pitch that he sees to rip a double. And I know he struck out 3 times after that, but there's a reason why that everybody's so excited about him and his abilities and why he was considered the top prospect in the organization, why the Braves took him 9th overall in the draft. And we're going to see it. And he's DHing again tonight, but I think it's great he's coming up and he's going to have opportunities here with the A's.
Do you think he in the long-term plans with Sean Murphy, a catcher, he could play in the outfield potentially? Do you think that's something he could do?
I think he's athletic enough, Cody, where he could. I don't know if that's in the plans, but Langoliers, he's a much better athlete than people think he is. When you look at him, you're going, okay, he's kind of built like a catcher. He's thick, but he can move. He's athletic. And I wouldn't put it past him if they wanted to put him in the outfield, if they wanted to try him at first base at some point. But it's a nice luxury to have if you're David Forrest, Marcotte, Billy Beane, right? That you have Sean Murphy, won the Gold Glove last year. Now you're bringing up this big prospect in Shea Langoliers. You have Soderstrom in the minor leagues. You drafted Susac. There is a myriad of catchers and highly touted catchers in the system right now.
Yeah, and I look back and looked, and at Baylor, Langoliers played a couple games at first, a couple games in the outfield. But, just as long as he's in the lineup, that's all our fans want to see. And as you mentioned, the hit double on the first at bat on the first pitch, you don't see that very often. I think the last player to do that, catcher to do that for the A's was Ramon Hernandez.
Yes.
So, Langoliers is bringing a lot of excitement for the A's fans right now. Adam Mahler's on the mound tonight, and we know he's had enough.
Can you hear me?
I got you, Chris.
You got me now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Well, hey, Roxy, I'm going to tell you this. Langoliers, you just don't bring him up to DH. He's 24 years old. This is a guy that's used to playing every day. He's used to being a captain. He's used to being a leader at catcher. You've got to figure out to do something more than just say, Big Murph's the guy, and this kid's DHing. That's not the answer with 45 games left.
No, but I think the plan is probably that if I'm reading it right, judging by Kotze's comments yesterday, what David Forrest had to say with the media, that every week Murphy will catch 5 and Langoliers will probably catch 2 games. Would you like to see it?
And that's when you got to find him something else to do, because you just don't take a 24-year-old and say, hey, DH.
Yeah. And for somebody who's as good as he is behind the plate, look, as good as Sean Murphy is as a catcher, Shea Langoliers is that good also. And now he doesn't have the experience that Murphy has. And look, Murph's got the hardware to show what he can do. But Shea Langoliers is a tremendous receiver. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's athletic behind the plate. So I think that the sky's the limit for him as a catcher, where, Soderstrom, maybe his future isn't behind the plate. He's good at it, but maybe his future is at first base, or maybe he could become an outfielder. Where Shea Langoliers, there's no doubt where his future is. It is behind the plate.
Yeah, isn't it just great to see? Because I know how I feel back here in the Bay Area. I feel like something's fresh. I feel like there's something to watch, to get me excited about tonight's game. I know the fans are going to feel like that because, all right, hey, we're seeing debuts. We're seeing young guys, potentially the future. What is it like in the clubhouse, and what is it like around the team?
It's been a weird trip from the standpoint of right before the trip, Jed Lowry gets DFA, right? And here's a veteran, respected player in the clubhouse who's had a terrific career. And then in the midst of the trip, Stephen Piscotty gets released. And now you have the Elvis Andrus situation where he's gone now. It's made for a weird week and a half with this team. But at the same time, there is this influx of energy and youth, right? J.P. Sears has come up, and he's looked good in his 2 starts, and he got the win again last night and snapped the losing streak. Langoliers is here. What Nick Allen has continued to do. I talked to Cal Stevenson at length, actually. He's going to join us on the pregame tonight. And what he's been able to bring.
Promote. I like it. Forward promote.
That's what we do. What's coming up next? Cross-promoting. He will join us at A's Total Access. But first off, Cal Stevenson, he's a great kid. I love talking to him. The local kid, grew up an A's fan. It's a tremendous story, and he's ecstatic that he's getting that opportunity with the A's at the major league level. But I think the youth infusion, guys like that, it's tangible that there is an energy, there's a new vibe. And let's face it, this team needed a new vibe, right? It'd been a tough go of it. The team was in the midst of a losing streak. You bring up Langoliers, he injects some life into the lineup right away. Stevenson leads off the game last night, rips one in the right field corner for a double. Not only these young guys here, Chris, but they're contributing, and I think that's also important.
What do you make of 50 games remaining on the schedule? Obviously, the A's have 45, but they're ahead of a lot of teams. 18 of the 30 teams are either in playoff position or within 5 games of a playoff spot. That's 60% of the league coming down the stretch has a shot. I think you have to love that as a baseball fan.
And for the A's, I think it's a great barometer, a measuring stick for where you need to get to. And it's a great look for these young guys to see what contending teams look like, right? And they're not getting a grasp of it here, but they did in Houston. When they come home Friday, the Mariners are coming in. Seattle's playing great. So these are eye-opening experiences, I think, which are going to be beneficial for these young guys. And also, these final 50 games, Chris, we're trying to figure out David Forrest and Mark Kotze and Billy, they're trying to figure out who's going to be a part of the equation, right? Next year, are we going to be ready to compete? And if we are, who's going to be a part of it? Could Cal Stevenson be an option? Shea Langoliers, we know, is going to be a part of the equation. You're getting a look at David McKinnon's going to play first base tonight, who's got a cup of coffee in the big leagues with the Angels. What's he capable of? You're going to find that out. Can J.P. Sears do it over the final stretches? Can Adam Aller figure it out? There's so many things over the last 50 games of the year which this young team is going to try to learn and give a blueprint, I think, for the front office to move forward into next season.
Well, and just looking nationally, I mean, everybody wanted to crown the Yankees World Series champions, and they're leaking oil big time. Mets right now are being reeled in by the Braves. And L.A. without Walker Buehler, we had that for you in the broadcast, and you talked about that. I mean, it's not going to hurt them down the stretch. It's going to hurt them mightily in the postseason. So some of these teams you thought that were just going to breeze, they're not breeze. It's not going to – that breeze isn't as strong as it used to be for them.
Well, for the Dodgers, look, as good as Gonsolin has been, right, and Urias has been as well. It's different come the postseason, which you know. And Gonsolin, now all of a sudden, I think there's more pressure on him once they get to the postseason, as dominant as he's been here in the regular season. And then you look at, I'm not worried about the Yankees, Chris. Their lead is so big,
Really?
They're going to figure it out.
You're not worried at all about the Yankees?
What's that?
You're not worried at all about the Yankees?
Chris, look at that lineup. Are you?
They don't hit.
They're
not hitting.
Do you think that's going to last?
Unless they hit home runs. You think Stanton's going to stay healthy?
You think that's going to last?
Yes, I've already said they will not make the World Series.
Look, I don't know if they're going to make the World Series, but this stretch they're going through is not going to last. When you've got Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, you go on and on with the bats that they have. This is not going to – at some point they're going to start hitting again. They're too good. They're too good. The Astros may end up winning the American League.
How's that bullpen? You got Lou Trevino closing games for you? How's that mighty bullpen right now?
It's a concern, and Holmes going on the injured list today. But Holmes hadn't been good. I mean, would it shock me if Toronto or Seattle, somebody found a way to sneak through if it wasn't the Astros or the Yankees? No, it wouldn't shock me. Because as we know, it's not always the best team that wins. It's the team that's playing the best. And I think the Yankees will figure it out. They might not have home field advantage. The Astros may secure it. And I don't think the Yankees will be nervous about going to Houston and trying to win. As long as they're not banging trash cans, the Yankees will be fine.
Oh, wow. Shots fired at the Astros.
Yeah,
I
did.
Yeah, you did. In Texas, too.
Yeah, but I'm upstate. I'm not in Houston saying that.
All right, buddy. Have a good call. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Sounds good. All right, Chris. See you, Cody.
The great Roxy Bernstein join us right here on A's Cast Live. All right, Cody, I'm going to restart my computer so we have no issues with Hembo.
Hopefully that helps. It's more of that could help. It seems like a Wi-Fi issue too. I don't know. But
I got the hard line in now, so I'm going to restart. Listen to some wonderful commercials, and we'll be right back. Paul Hembekides joined us at 3 o'clock from ESPN right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Hey, A's fans, your Athletics are back in town, and we're kicking off the series with a boom. That's right. Post-game fireworks presented by Lagunitas are back after Friday night's matchup against the Mariners. Friday, August 19th, join us at the ballpark when the A's take on the Mariners, and then head down to the field to see the best fireworks display in the Bay. August 19th fireworks presented by Lagunitas. Tickets start at just $15 and are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
Coming in at 5'3", it's #1 mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay, Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hey, Ace fans, we've got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks and drone shows, giveaways, and more.
Outside corner, ring him up. And Eaton can't believe it.
Grab the crew and head to the Coliseum with friends and family any Friday night this season. 4 tickets and parking starting at just $39 for the whole group. Tickets are available at athletics.com. That's athletics.com. Bring the whole family out to the ballpark for Nickelodeon Night on August 27th with fun for fans of all ages.
Just around the bunt, he pushes it, and Seth Brown makes a great leaping catch.
Come see your A's take on the New York Yankees, meet some of your favorite Nickelodeon characters, then head down to the field to see the drones take flight for a dazzling post-game light show. Tickets start at just $15. You won't want to miss this. Find your seats at athletics.com today.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Bay Area locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, are we good?
I mean, I hear you, so that's a good sign, and I see you.
All right.
So we'll see.
No, you know what I think it is I have 2 ways to have internet in here, and you had it connected with the gray cord. And that's just not working. So I did the blue cord, which I use my Comrex. And none of you at home care. But what I use the Comrex for, I put that line in and we have no problem.
That's weird because I use that gray one every day. And
yeah, but you're going through a different connection with it.
I don't know. Well, as long as we're good now, it's all that matters.
I hate this technology. I want all the fans to know. I promise you, we can't do anything this season. By next season, we will be delivering it in a different manner.
Well, we're back in enough time because Hembo just joined. So
where is Hembo?
Well, there's big LeBron news. I'm sure you want to start with that.
Well, I just want to say that are you at home?
I'm at home.
So when there is LeBron news as big as signing a 2-year extension, ESPN allows you guys to go home and have a life?
I can assure you.
LeBron James signed a 2-year extension. You should leave your wife. You should leave your pregnant wife. You should be back in Manhattan, and you should be covering what's happening with LeBron James.
This I can promise you, my friend. When at 8 Eastern on the East Coast, you turn on ESPN tomorrow. It'll be awfully early for you guys. You will hear Mike Greenberg say, it's time to get up with the LeBron extension, yada, yada, yada. I can assure you those will be the first words you hear on the show. And then from 8 to 8:10-ish, I think we'll probably talk it. That, my friends, is a good guess.
So I was pretty much going to bet your A block will be LeBron and nothing but LeBron.
That's my best guess too. I've not hopped in the rundown yet tonight, but look, I mean, this is a slow time a year for shows like mine. We're just making up storylines when it comes to training camp, right? So LeBron signing an extension is like a bombshell by our standards.
All right, we're gonna go LeBron 1, Dallas Cowboy training camp 2.
I mean, look, how many touches is Zeke Elliott going to split with Tony Pollard? There's been a lot of regression there. Over the last 3 seasons, Zeke has as many fumbles as he has 20-yard rush attempts. So, like, I'm happy to go there if you are, my friend. Happy to go there.
What's Nick Saban doing?
Nick Saban will probably be, like, towards the bottom of the hour. Nick Saban, I'll tell you what, though. Nick Saban does not have as good a tan as you do right now. You look absolutely splendid.
Well, let's just say I've been out on the golf course the past few days.
I mean, you look like some bro that like started a sunglasses company with all your dropout college friends, and based on what the facial hair that I'm seeing Cody growing, he looks like one of those friends. So you guys have a nice little deal working. It looks like to me.
Well, you got to remember, was at the beach for a week in San Diego, and I said, you know what? I was pasty white before I went to San Diego. I got the tan back, and I'm keeping this baby rolling.
I very much appreciate it, Cody. I'd love to see your camera if you don't mind, because when I first logged in here, it looked like you were wearing like an A's. Yeah. So you are like you look like the pitching coach. Actually, going out there.
I'm in our A's office. That's why I look so nice.
No, you look like. Are you doing like personnel mapping at the moment, or just like masquerading as a radio sidekick? Because like you definitely pass as a Moneyball extra. You pass as someone that could be in the front office right now. Like you're probably doing high level decisions.
You know what he looks like? He looks like the third trainer that no one knows. Like every once in a while comes out onto the field. No one knows. You always know who the head trainer is, but you don't know who the third guy is. And he's got that kind of top that Cody has on. He does. He looks like the third guy in charge as a trainer.
And that guy, unfortunately, has to be like the hose holder because that guy, called out sick. So he's got 2 jobs today to make sure that everything is functioning at a high level. So it looks like you're running stuff for the scouting department. You're doing the grounds crew stuff. You are the third string trainer. Like this is quite the operation you guys have running out there. I am wildly impressed.
We are big league. By the way, we have to have fun, as my notes say, 50 days left in the schedule. A's got 45. We're out. So we have taken a National League team and an American League team to root for, and we will talk about here on A's Cast Live. In the American League, to honor my great friend Ray Fosse, and they play the way I like, pitching, defense, contact, stealing bases. I am going with the Guardians in the American League. In the National League, because of your Twins, and my love of the great city of Philadelphia, my new National League team is the Fightins. I'm going Phillies. Let's go, Fightin' Phils. You're my National League team. Let's get this. As the Mets, DeGrom and Scherzer against the Braves the next 2 nights, getting pretty interesting.
Oh, I'll tell you what. That sound that you hear in the distance, is every executive that works for Fox calling their boss and saying, they just pitched a Guardians-Phillies World Series. We have to be out of this business. That would be wreckage. Like the pitching and defense selling point might be cool for you. But I'll tell you what, that team's the Guardians they're an excellent story this year. Like definitely under the radar. The White Sox are coming strong, but I've been really impressed with Cleveland's consistency throughout the season. They have boppers in that lineup. Jimenez has been unbelievable. Jose Ramirez is consistently among the best players in the sport. Shane Bieber's not the pitcher he was in 2020, but they always find a way to get outs. My money would actually be on Cleveland to win their division, but right now the Guardians, the Twins, and the White Sox are all separated by 1 game. That's actually the best race in baseball, with so many of these divisions having been sealed so long ago.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's so many people. Like I said, the next 2 nights, you got Braves, Mets, Scherzer, DeGrom. I mean, if the Braves pull out 2 and there's only a game and a half, I mean, live in Jersey or New York, there's always that fear of something's going to happen in Mets land. Some decision, some injury, some wild, crazy thing will bring down the Mets. If they lose the next 2 games, there's going to be panic at the disco.
We'll start to see their owner, Steve Cohen, sending out irrational tweets after drinking expensive wine after games. I'll tell you what, though. I've watched every pitch Jacob deGrom has thrown this year. It's been 3 starts. I'm not sure that I've ever seen a better pitcher in my life. Now, obviously, we've seen pitchers go much deeper into games. Pedro in 99 and 2000, I think, was practically beyond reproach. We saw Randy Johnson dominate in 2001 in a way that we've rarely seen again, especially in the postseason. There are any number of great half seasons and even full seasons. Kershaw's been unbelievable. Verlander's been unbelievable. But it feels like an upset if Jacob deGrom doesn't strike you out. Jacob deGrom has been unbelievable, and it dates back to the start of last year. Since the start of last season, he's thrown 108 innings. During that time, the league is hitting 126 against him. He's turned your lineup into 9 pitchers. And when I watched him face the Phillies, it was inevitable. Like, the best pitchers in baseball are dominant. Jacob deGrom is inevitable.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm going to need 4, 5, 6 relievers after him. And that becomes our problem in baseball, because relievers are guys year to year. I mean, Blake Trinan had one of the greatest years ever as a reliever for the A's, and the next year was a completely different guy. If you have a Mariano Rivera or you have a Trevor Hoffman or a Bruce Sutter or one of these guys that lasts forever and is lights out as a closer, great. But relievers, especially now when I'm talking about going deep into your bullpen every single night, yes, like Dylan Cease last night. I got roped into the Verlander Cease. Cease is out after 5. You now need 4, 5, 6 guys to finish the game out. I'm so impressed with numbers, but if you're giving it to me for 6 or 5 innings,
I hear you, kid. I hear you. And it's hard to dispute. The Mets have babied him for years now. Maybe that's been the right approach. Maybe it's not. I'll tell you what, though. How many managers have been able to dial up deGrom, Scherzer, and then Edwin Diaz on the back end? I mean, that's the kind of – and Bassett's been great. Chris Bassett's been great for the Mets.
Yeah.
I trust Buck Showalter a lot more than I trust managers of theirs in yesteryear. I mean, like, at minimum, he's not sending lewd pictures of himself. He generally has an idea what's going on. So, obviously, that's the baseline for the Mets manager. Meanwhile, Buck has this team, like, he's got this team wrapped around his finger. It feels different. It feels different here in New York. In all seriousness, putting Mickey Callaway's cell phone to the side for just a moment.
Hey, remember, was it last year or the year before, someone came up with all the bracket for all the Met problems throughout the years? That bracket. That was
yeah. I mean,
David
the Mets were
Coe pleasuring himself in the bullpen. I mean, it had everything in there.
I mean, the Mets fans were yearning for the days of Noah Syndergaard having hand, foot, and mouth disease, right? But in all candor, like, not to make light of that situation with Mickey Callaway, of course. What I'm saying is the baseline for Mets manager is literally garbage. And so Buck Showalter has this team wrapped around his finger and has generated really an awesome culture there. Like, it does feel a little bit different. The owner doesn't seem to be at his wit's end on every given night, but obviously they've been operating from a position of strength all season long. Most people that I talk to over here view them as the favorite, of course. There is some East Coast bias naturally, but the Mets feel like a team built for October. From where I sit, I'm just not quite sure they can bop enough to win it all.
Please tell me. Please make my day. Tell me about the panic about the New York Yankees in New York City. I want doom and gloom. I want the panic button. Send the missiles. I want panic stories.
So there's a producer on Mike Greenberg's radio show that I work with named Nuno Teixeira. We asked him yesterday after I delivered some numbers about whether or not he's worried about the Yankees. His first line was, "Oh yeah, the season is over." That's how these people are operating. Like, they have this massive lead in their division, right? They have a player on pace to hit like 65 home runs. They've had the best pitching staff in the American League the whole season long. They're just hitting obviously a bit of a downturn since the All-Star break, but these people are genuinely freaking out. But look, in all candor, like, this is a team that way overachieved early in the season. Like, if you had told me the Yankees would be where they are now at this point, I would have told you I'm not seeing it. Like, this is a team I didn't think would even make the playoffs. And that's because, Brian Cashman's building plan here was a little bit peculiar. Now, it's been proven to work over the course of a full season here. They picked the ball much better than you would have expected. They pitched great. Obviously, Judge is picking up his end of the bargain. But since the All-Star break, if you look at the lineup, like their numbers are effectively, they're the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, and the Tigers, plus Aaron Judge. So they're not hitting. In 25 games since the All-Star break, they scored 40 runs without the benefit of the home run. They can't scratch across runs. They can't manufacture runs, which is something that they're just seemingly willing to deal with. I'm just not so sure that in a playoff series, they're positioned well if you don't get a homer or two that series from Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton or whomever. Not to mention the fact that in the first half of the season, the Yankees were 57-5 in games in which they had a lead in the 7th inning or later. They were 57-5 in those games. Since the All-Star break, they're 7-5 in those games. For as bad as the lineup has been, the back end of their bullpen, for my money, is their single biggest problem. Doom and gloom. 5-alarm fire.
Oh, you just made my day. Let's go to another one that the fire hasn't started yet, but it's going to be here come postseason time. And that's your favorites, the LA Dodgers. They couldn't get it done last year with Scherzer and Walker Buehler. Now no Scherzer, big lead, but no Walker Buehler for the postseason. They're going to cruise into the postseason because they're just a steamroller over people. But once we get in those series and you don't have your best starter, how do you feel about the Dodgers?
I feel much worse about the Dodgers than I should when you look at the numbers. Obviously, their record is unbelievable. They're going to win 115 games in their sleep. They're outscoring their opponent by more than 2 runs per game. All right, the last team to do that over a full season was the 1939 Yankees. That's how good the Dodgers are. They've been unbelievable. The top third of their order is historically good. They've gotten contributions, at least lately, from all over the diamond, whereas during the middle of the season, the middle third of their order was not productive. This team is absolutely stacked. But I don't know why, for the life of me, their general manager did not do a more aggressive play at the deadline in buffering his bullpen, because that group right now ain't good enough. I'm not confident that the Dodgers are going to win games in which they enter the 9th inning with a 1-run lead. I'm not. That's because they rank 24th in ERA right now in the 9th inning. And Craig Kimbrell can't find his release point if his life depended on it. Like he was spraying the ball yesterday too. He absolutely must be removed from that role, and you have to go by committee. And let's be honest, if we're just going to be fair and honest about all of this, the Dodgers should have much more than one World Series title since 2017. Dave Roberts, at least in my opinion, has cost them at least one with how he's mismanaged that bullpen over the last 5 years. And there's no obvious reason for me to believe that he has the right guys back there now. Not to mention, he doesn't have his best pitcher in Walker Buehler. Not to mention, he's going to be lucky if Clayton Kershaw can get him 15 outs in any given game without his bat being thrown out, right? Like, I don't know how they're going to get 27 outs enough times to win the World Series. I think they can definitely win plenty of games 8-6, but the Dodgers are going to have to be up 6-1 entering the 9th inning for me to feel like, oh, yeah, they're definitely going to win that game.
I'll tell you what, you're going to learn about the epidural shot pretty soon. When's the due date?
September 8th.
Yeah, you're going to learn, like, when they do that, you see how big that needle is, and you just go, oh, my God. And that's, you know what, whenever I heard pitcher, golfer, anybody that has back problems, football player, oh, they're getting an epidural shot. It was never a big deal for me, right? Because I didn't know. Wife was pregnant, epidural shot, and I saw the needle and I went, oh, now I get it. That's not like, hey, bend over, right in your beep, and the shot's over, bye. I mean, no, it's a whole different ballgame. Yeah, so Clayton Kershaw, I mean, who knows? By the way, and I know with LeBron James, Dallas Cowboys, college football, everything going on in your world, A's, Rangers will not make it in any of the blocks on Get Up. But you talk about a crazy dumpster fire series. We just let go Jed Lowry. We end up in Texas against the Rangers in Arlington. We now let Piscotty go, and now today Elvis Andrus go. On the other side in their dugout, they fired their manager, and now John Daniels, the president of baseball ops. This is like the dumpster fire series of dumpster fires.
All the machinations on your club are curious, but the Ranger stuff has really caught me off guard. I mean, to fire your manager and your general manager in the same week, is really, really bizarre. And to see Chris Young up there with Daniels, only to snipe his job 2 days later, is so friggin' weird. Now, obviously, Chris Young is very highly regarded in the industry. It's funny, John Daniels, feels like not so long ago, was like this wonder kid, right? And all of a sudden, he's like a senior statesman across baseball when you look at the way that teams hire general managers. I actually think that's a pretty attractive job. Ownership has obviously demonstrated a willingness to spend. They got the new ballpark. They got a couple studs in the middle of their diamond, a really, really good farm system. It's just so wild to me that it's all happening now and happening this way. And I'm always very curious to know, like, what kind of hand John Daniels had in any of the recent things that have happened. Because if this is a lame duck general manager, then why did he have a say in signing Corey Seager and Marcus Semien that are going to outlast him by a decade? Like, the whole thing is very bizarre. But that is a division where helium is easier to come by than others. So it wouldn't stun me if those become pretty attractive openings potentially, and they could keep rising. But obviously, there's a lot of dysfunction right there, and it's sort of hard to cut through it all.
I got to tell you, if I ever take anything and I test positive for it, I know I'm going to just lie my way out. Whether I went to GNC and it was in this bottle of GNC and I don't know what happened, or I got ringworm. I didn't even really know what ringworm was until I now had to read about it. I mean, it's amazing the excuses. I don't know how an anabolic steroid got in my system. I must have fell onto a needle somewhere and it just injected me. I mean, we've heard the lamest excuses over the years. And the A's, we got to raise our hand. It's been here too. And it's been here recently with Ramon Laureano and Frankie Montas. But Fernando Tatis, I mean, this is if you're man enough to sign a 14-year, $340 million contract, you're man enough to own up to testing positive. It's San Diego. It just goes to show when you ink up guys long-term, man, you need to really, really, really be right, because this contract, speaking of dumpster fires, boy, does this look bad, and there's a lot of years left on this deal.
There's so many items to unpack here. There's so many different ways we can take this conversation. I would start by saying, though, never in my life have I ever seen a player's teammates, a player's manager, a player's general manager say the things on the record that the Padres said about Fernando Tatis. I found it unbelievable. Effectively, everyone saying in unison, grow up. You never see it. You never see it. But you saw it here and you saw it all the way around. You heard Joe Musgrove say, in effect, when they were told that there was Fernando Tatis news, they were relieved to learn that he had not died. That's how fast this guy lives. And that's how worried they were and have been about him. He was in multiple motorcycle accidents last offseason, and he still hasn't played since that. So, I mean, if he was already skating on thin ice, I mean, what is he doing now? I mean, I guess he's treading frozen water. But, I mean, look, there's a few things of which there are no question. He's obviously a generational type talent. His 162-game average is 48 homers, 31 steals, with a batting line equivalent to the career of Stan Musial, all right, as a young shortstop. He is unbelievably talented. He is also, however, now going to be colored by this decision for the rest of his career. And look, dude, don't insult my intelligence. I'm sure you saw what wound up happening here with all these drugs and side effects and whatnot. He and his representation Googled the wrong drug.
Yes.
The thing he said he took is called clobetasol, which is what you would actually use for ringworm. His dad a day later went on the radio in the DR and said that he was treating hair fungus. Guys, get your story together. It's outrageous. Outrageous. Don't insult my intelligence.
Did you hear what Pedro had to say?
No.
Pedro was Pedro on TBS at first was he can't do that, But then Pedro tried to go into it's different in the Dominican Republic. So many of these kids, the language, not educated. He started giving him a pass, and Jimmy Rollins was like, bro, come on. Even Big Papi. Big Papi basically said, well, we got to think about star players and making them look bad. It's oh my God, what are these guys talking about?
Here's the thing. They gave him that contract that you just described, that massive contract that you just described after 143 big league games. Do any of us honestly know what kind of player he actually is? If you start your career that historically good, and at one point you were a prospect that was worthy of being traded for James Shields, are you really this good? It's a fair and honest question, is it not?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we've seen it with our own two
No
eyes.
doubt. No,
We've also
Skinny
seen,
kid hitting all those
uh-huh.
home runs. Skinny kid hitting all those home runs. I mean, Jose Canseco, the great Oakland Athletic and former MVP, first 40-40 guy. Jose Canseco told us, and I've had interviews with Jose, if it's too good to be true, and isn't kind of Fernando Tatis, now that we know about this, kind of like when A-Rod, no one wanted to really talk about how A-Rod really started doing this stuff when he was in Seattle, the wonder kid with 200 hits. You really have to start like wondering, like, is this guy really the greatest thing we've ever seen, or maybe there's something to it?
And I'm also not convinced that he's the best candidate to be baseball's number one villain, which he will be and should be now. If he's playing in a stadium that I'm going to be in next year, I'm going to boo the living daylights out of him, because not only did he cheat, but then he had the gall to tell me that he treated ringworm with that drug. Like, you have to be bleeping me. After you already, recently after signing that contract that you did, lived like an absolute idiot all offseason. Like, he admitted to being in multiple wrecks on his bike. It just doesn't make any sense in the world to me. Like, why people are willing to defend him and give him a pass. Like, it's one thing to like be young, and make mistakes. What he is doing is not being young and making mistakes. Like, we shouldn't be excusing adults for doing childish things. And if you're on that side of the fence, then I just don't have any time for you.
You have trivia?
I have trivia.
Oh, let's
My question for you is this on my way out. So right now, Aaron Judge leads the major leagues in home runs. And obviously the Yankees, as you well know, aspire to win the World Series. And so my question for you is this. Who is the last player to lead the major leagues in home runs and win the World Series in the same season?
Steve Balboni.
Steve Balboni is incorrect. I don't think he ever did it either.
With the Royals?
Steve Balboni led he owns the Royals single season home run record. He never, however, led his league in home runs. The highest he ever finished was third, although that was 1985.
I was close. I knew he won the World Series, and he was up there because it's a tricky answer.
It happened more recently than Steve Balboni in 1985.
What year?
2008. Think of who's asking you this question.
That's the Yankees and A-Rod?
That was 09.
Oh, that was 09. Oh, it's the Phillies. Ryan Howard?
Ryan Howard is the last
great
player to do that.
I'm going to tell you this, and this is a promise from me to you. If the Phillies win the World Series, I will buy me and you, and I'll hang it right somewhere here in my A's Cast Live studio. I want the Mike Schmidt light blue road jersey. The classic 1980 Philadelphia Phillies light blue Mike Schmidt. He was number 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will buy one for me and one for you. And
that's going to go in the shrine, baby.
Sign it.
Oh, that sounds absolutely luscious. By the way, parenthetically, having mentioned Mike Schmidt, he is the next most recent player to have done that in 1980. The last two players to lead the majors in homers in a World Series winning season are Howard in 08, Schmidt in 80, and those are the only 2 years the Phillies have ever won the series. Kind of a bizarre note, huh?
Well, unbelievable. By the way, so it's getting it's almost go time for you.
We got 3 weeks. We got 3 more weeks of my everlasting freedom, my sleep, my quiet, my golf game, my suntan, my designer haircuts.
Is your wife done and like ready to go?
She's never been more eager for anything in her life.
Yeah.
To drink a hazy IPA. She wants, like, she's considering bringing stuff into the hospital, like sneaking stuff into the hospital that she could take a swig of. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's like twins. The pressure on them, it's just so uncomfortable. They can't sleep. It's absolutely miserable. So the whole like, I love being pregnant. Oh, that's gone. It's like, I'm ready to go. And every day you get closer, it's going to be, and then you're going to have twins and your life has changed. Just to give you an idea, today, my twins started their junior year of high school.
Oh my gosh, dude. How much money is college going to cost by the time my girls are 18 years old?
How much do you think it costs in 2 years? That's why I got to keep having you on. I need ratings. I got to have great guests like you. I got to get these kids through college.
I mean, as we established about half an hour ago, Cody's working 3 jobs for you right now just to try and get you the books and the meal card. So
It's
everyone's chipping in.
and they're like, well, we want to go to UCLA or we want to go to Santa Barbara. All places that's really cheap to live. Santa Barbara and Los Angeles.
By the way, I was listening to you guys talking to Roxy real quick, and then I'll let you go. This ridiculousness with the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, and like now the Big Ten just has like teams all over the world.
Yeah,
dude. Like, let's imagine like a Rutgers UCLA volleyball game, right? It is a shorter flight to travel from New York to Iceland than it is to go from New York to LA. Like, it's that far. That's what they're doing here. Like, that's the field hockey team is traveling from New York City to Reykjavik to play a friendly. That's what they're doing these days.
I can't wait to when Oregon and Washington go in the Big Ten, and you can have that great battle of women's softball, Maryland Terps against the Washington Huskies. Now that's a conference rivalry I cannot wait for.
Bro, I don't understand why they don't just decide, like, we'll do football for everything, and then for everything else, we'll just keep doing what we were doing. This, like, I understand why everyone's changing conferences, but, like, what's to stop you from doing all of your Olympic sports the same way and then flying your football team all over the place like they're playing for the Patriots? Like, to me, that's the sort of clear and obvious solution to all this.
Nothing says conference play in volleyball like the University of Minnesota against USC.
Welcome. You're looking live from Piscataway. We have the California Golden Bears taking on the Scarlet Knights.
Hey, hasn't it already been like when Nebraska's playing Wisconsin, it just doesn't look right? Now you're going to throw LA schools in there? Oh, my God.
Seeing like USC play like a snow game in Michigan in December is going to be it's going to be so unattractive. It's going to be like seeing Manny Machado field a ground ball in right center field. It's going to be so visually jarring.
By the way, you are the best. And you know what? Just because I love you so much, I may set my alarm to get up to watch the start of Get Up tomorrow and just get my LeBron James on. Just tell me everything about the extension, 2 years, all the money. Just tell me if we're going to limit his time. How many minutes are we going to play him? How many minutes should he play? I'm all in tomorrow morning.
Listen, you're missing the obvious question, Chris. Can I ask you the obvious question?
Yeah.
How is this going to affect his legacy?
Oh, my God. I mean, is he the greatest Laker of all time?
And by the way, 9:30 or so, practically every single day, sneaky hembo time on Get Up. If you like sports trivia, that's when I do mine every single day. I'm in a heated battle with Dan Graziano, mostly football questions, but who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'll sneak LeBron James question in for the first time in Get Up history. I mean, for the 100th.
You are the best, and let us know when it happens because we have presents coming your way.
You're a good man.
Take care, buddy. The great Paul Hembekides. You didn't think I would sneak in Steve Balboni, did you?
I had no idea you were going that direction. None whatsoever.
Yeah, because I know it's a trick question, kind of. It's not an obvious one, but now Ryan Howard. But I remember there was something about Steve Balboni winning the World Series in '85. There's something about him and home runs. I don't know what it is. He is an answer to some type of trivia question. Did he lead the American League in home runs?
That was 1985, right?
Yeah.
Darrell Evans led the American League with 40.
I just know because there's something in my head about that, and I don't even know why I know that. 1985 was a long time ago. I was in 8th grade.
I'm looking at something because I have the list in front of me right now. The A's won the World Series, obviously, in 1989. Who led the American League in home runs that year?
I would go Cecil Fielder.
Incorrect. Cecil Fielder led the league the following year of 51. The answer is Toronto Blue Jay legend, crime dog, Fred McGriff, with 36.
Fred McGriff is one of the few people, and another reason why he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's not the Hall of Good. Fred McGriff was a great player. Fred McGriff's one of the only guys to lead the American League and the National League in home runs.
He was a great player. I'm with you 100%. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Do you remember when he led the National League in home runs?
Was he a Padre?
He was a Padre. So he did it as a Blue Jay and a Padre. Fred McGriff should be in the base. Fred McGriff, there's certain guys who just got swallowed up in the steroid era. Like all of a sudden, 600 home runs, 500 home runs. Like Fred McGriff hit almost 500 home runs. Very good defensively. Great player. All-star. Should be in the Hall of Fame.
5-time All-Star, World Series champion, 3-time Silver Slugger, All-Star Game MVP, 52.6 WAR, we'll round it up 53, almost 2,500 hits, 493 home runs, a 284 average.
Are we saying WAR matters or not? Because if we say WAR matters, Aaron Judge is your MVP. If you say WAR doesn't matter, then we're now talking Shohei Ohtani. So let me know, because you said it mattered with Trout. Are you saying it now? Doesn't like what does it? When does it matter?
It matters when it helps someone's argument. It sounds like anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like the one we brought up the other day, and I think we'll always bring up is the Miguel Cabrera versus Mike Trout debate of 2013, when Trout had the better numbers in the WAR, but Miguel Cabrera had the Triple Crown year, and that was to a lot of people was more impressive. I mean, well, who was the last guy for the Triple Crown in the American League? Wasn't it Yaz? Before Cabrera did, wasn't the last guy to do it Yaz?
Yeah, Scott Yastrzemski.
And then the last guy to do it in the National League is like Joe Medwick for the Cardinals. It was like in the 40s.
Was Yaz's was in the 70s. I was like a real little kid when he did it.
It might have. I kept thinking it was in the 60s, but it might have been.
I think it's in the 70s.
Let me just pull up the Triple Crown, see when he won it or when he did it. He led in 1967.
67. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 70 something, early 70s, but wow. But he didn't have like great stats.
Yeah, that year at 67, Yaz hit Carl, not Mike of the Giants, obviously. He hit 326, 44 bombs, 121 RBI, and a 193 OPS plus.
Let me take that back. I thought he hit like 308. I take what I said. I take it back. Can I take another thing back?
Oh yeah, I have it written down. You want to take something back?
I'm not gonna from here on out. If I do, maybe you can get a sounder like an Old Man River type sound. I don't know what sound that would be. I'm just done with starting pitching. I'm just done bitching about it. I bitched about it on all my NBC hits. I bitched about it on this show. And I just got my good friend John Gruden going, Townie, some guys, Townie, I'm just telling you, they're just bitchers. They're just bitchers. So I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. So I'm not going to be it anymore. It's fine. This is what we do. We don't want a guy going through the lineup a third time. We want a guy just to go throw as hard as he can, try and strike everybody out for 4 or 5 innings. If I get 6 out of them, great. And that's starting pitching now. And until they start changing it back, that's what it is.
Dylan Cease is 26 years old. He threw 93 pitches last night. He struck out 4 batters. He went 5 innings. Justin Verlander's 39. He went 7 innings and threw 103 pitches. I don't get it. He went 2 more innings with 10 more pitches.
Wait. What don't you get? This is why I'm changing. What don't you get? They do not want you facing the lineup a third time through. A guy like Verlander, who has all the cachet, you go out and he's going to tell you to go stiff it. But all these other guys, they've been trained to do this. So this is routine to them. This was why I always said about DeGrom was, and why I always laughed at your argument that wins don't matter. Look at DeGrom. DeGrom's not trained to win. DeGrom's he's trained to run half the race. It's like, 6 innings. Okay, here's the ball. I did my job. I mean, that's how we have trained these guys. You had it, Cody, and I don't think we ever got to it. Rancho Cucamonga, who takes on our stock, and you see I got the Stockton Port shirt on today. Courtesy friend of the program, Alex Jensen. Who are they affiliate? They used to be the Padres. Who are they now?
The Rancho Cucamonga Quakes are the Dodgers low A affiliate in the Cal League.
Okay, their pitchers, they're starting pitchers, and they shouldn't even be called starters. They're averaging less than 3 innings a start this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually, I have it updated in a few days, but when I did it the other day, they were averaging around 2.7 innings pitched per game.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. The Dodgers, who are a model franchise right now for winning, down in their low A, because guys pitch more than that in high school. Guys pitch more than that in college. Dodgers are getting them and saying, nope, we're not going to pitch you. We're not going to really throw you all that much. You're going to go less than 3 innings a start. I don't see MLB Network saying anything about it. I don't see Baseball America, any publications talking about it. We're just accepting it now. So we're training guys not to play a long time. We're training guys. If you're right-handed, you hit against left-handers. If you're left-handed, you hit against right-handers. We're not training complete packages as athletes in baseball anymore. We're training specialties. That's what we're doing. Now, if you're a great player, you'll be different. But the average baseball player is being trained to be a part-time guy. And that's why I look at Shohei Ohtani and we marvel. He pitches. Yeah, 5-6 innings. Every once in a while against a bad lineup, Kansas City, Boston, he's gone deep. But most part, he's 5-6 innings every 5 days. And not every 5 days at the start of the year. How much is really that worth? Is that all that great? I mean, really talking about greatness, I'm just going to let it go because at some point I'm going to get tired of talking about it. Fans are going to get tired of listening to it. You just got to accept where the game is. I don't run the game. I don't train the athletes. I don't make the decisions. I'm not a general manager. I don't set the tone for an organization. So I just got to live with this is what it is. And if a guy goes 7, oh my God, it's great. But I have to have expectations that tonight, that you're going to see who's going tonight. Is it Aller? What should I expect tonight? 6 or less. So every single night I need to expect 6 innings or less. I mean, that's what it is.
By the way, I just looked it up to get the updated stats. In 109 games for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, it's the Cal League. Their starters are 4-23 with a 5.21 ERA, obviously. In 109 games, they've gone 295 in a third innings. That rounds out to 2.7 innings pitched per start.
What do you want me to do? What should I do?
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. And complain about it every day doesn't do us any good.
No, and it's just the way, unfortunately, it's the way the game's been trending for a while now. I mean, now we're getting guys to go less than 3 innings in the minor leagues, where at least in Stockton, Alex told me over the weekend, that at least in Stockton, the guy goes, they try to get their pitchers to 5 innings or 100 pitches. At least that's something, not 3 innings or less.
Yeah, you better make your bullpen guys better. I mean, you got to have such a good bullpen to survive that. And you're going to have to go through so many arms to survive that. And, oh, by the way, the Rays have their problems. Stadium's not good. The majority of the population actually lives in Tampa, not in St. Pete. A lot of traffic to get over to Tampa. There's a bridge situation that supposedly is a nightmare. With all that said, the Rays, for the most part, are just not a very entertaining team. They're just not. I mean, you watch their games. The whole thing's a mixed match. The whole thing is bullpen mixed match. Are they really, from just an average person who wants to get excited and watch a game, would you say the Rays are that entertaining?
No, not. I mean, from that standpoint, no, because their starters don't go long. They use a lot of relievers. Half the time, you don't even know who the relievers are. Like, their best reliever right now is Jason Adam. No one has any idea who he is. I have to look it up, but I'm sure they have an extraordinary number of relievers that have saves this year. Well, they had the record a couple years ago, 13 different guys with a save. I'm sure they're getting close to that this year.
Wander Franco is their future, but he's hurt. But at least they've made a commitment to him. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and we're glass house, can't throw stones, right? But seriously, it's like you don't play people, you don't pitch them, there is the data aspect of it. There also is the financial aspect of it. When you have a guy that does it, when you have pitchers that don't throw a ton of innings, you don't have to pay him a lot of money because you've already tried to. I wonder. Now, the wins don't matter comes from the Sabre community, but the lack of innings pitched and not wanting a ton of innings pitched, because when you don't pitch a ton of innings, you can't rack up stats, right? You can't rack up huge numbers with these math equations. Is that something that teams don't want to do also because that keeps payroll down?
I 100% agree with that. And you're seeing it more like the Rays are obviously at the forefront of it. Right now, they have 488 innings pitched from their relievers. That's the most in baseball. So they're obviously their starters don't go long, and they have 9 different guys. I just look 9 different guys have a save this year for them. So you could bring these guys out, not pay them anything, and then that hurts them going forward because we'll say, hey, well, at arbitration, well, you only pitched this many innings, or you only did this, so we really don't have.
You're gonna be like, you only allowed me. Hey, Ryan Stanek kind of let us know, dudes ain't loving playing in Tampa Bay. Like, it's great to be in the big leagues, all of that, but guys aren't loving playing in Tampa Bay. But what are you going to do? And you got to go along with it because you're not guys with long-term contracts. We have started a new segment on A's Cast that you'll be able to listen to. A's Cast is phenomenal. It gives you all your A's news. Inside the A's is our new podcast that you'll hear. And we're going to go in depth on people who work for the A's and who have worked for the A's for a very long time. And they've been a big part of the fabric for the A's. They've been in the A's family. And this is the very first time you're ever going to hear it. And the full edition you'll be able to hear on A's Cast. And we decided that there's no greater person to launch this new podcast than VP of Stadium Operations, the great David Rinetti, joins us right here for our new podcast, Inside the A's. Well, welcome to our very first edition of Inside the A's. This is going to be a look at some of the people that work for this great organization, and they make everything happen. And when I thought about the first person that we should interview, it's somebody that's been no doubt a big part of the A's family for a very long time. He's been a dear friend for a long time, and a lot of you fans know him. That was the one thing about who are we going to do first. We want to do somebody inside the A's that you truly know, and I think of David Rinetti as such a big part of the Athletics, the vice president of stadium operations. What a great idea to have him be our first guest for this. My friend, welcome to the program, and I knew you'd be ideal to be the first guy out of the chute.
I am very, very honored to be doing this for the first time. I'm ecstatic to be a part of this.
I think about your commitment to the organization. What, 42 years you've been doing this?
Yeah, it was April of 1981 when I started. I was a junior in high school at Bishop O'Dowd High up the hill here, and I worked opening night. And we were just coming back from a road trip where we won every single game on the road trip, and we played the Mariners that night, and I think we won something like 10-1 or 8-9. I don't know. It was a high score game that the A's won. The place was packed. I was passing out. I was working for the giveaway crew. I was passing out a newspaper that was the Sporting Green, and it had Billy Martin on the front of the Sporting Green cover, and we were passing that out to fans as they came in. So that's when I started, 1981.
I was thinking about this last Hall of Fame class and how special it was. And I talked about how, normally these Hall of Fame classes, it's always about the ex-players, right? This guy won X amount of World Series and MVPs and all this kind of stuff. But we had 2 guys in this Hall of Fame class who are just basically A's family. When you think of Steve Vucinich and you think about Keith Littman, and for both these guys, over 50 years of service to this organization, to the community, to the city of Oakland, what they have done. And watching it, and always there's one constant, you. You're always on the field. You're always on the walkie-talkie. And I thought, while you were watching this and watching these guys get honored, at any point do you think about yourself? Because you're 10 plus years away from them, but you're in that same kind of line like them when you start talking about your entire life you've worked for one organization.
I know that it's not common because I talk to people every day about how long I've been here. And I just remember coming in that I looked up to guys like Steve, and I didn't get to know Keith until a little bit later, but I was so honored to know and work with both of those guys over the time. But yeah, of course, I'm on the field going, yeah, I've always been kind of on the scene here, but I don't look at it. I've never thrown out a first pitch, and I always, I kind of like to be under the radar myself, but I do look at it and go, you know what, it's a pretty incredible achievement for both of them, and I know that I'm on that path that, and hopefully I'll get there as well to get 50 plus years in. But I'm just going to take it year by year, day by day. But I'm definitely honored to be a part of those times with these guys.
Well, and I can take people behind the scenes. It's just not a job that you're doing every once in a while, or you're just doing 9 to 5. I've actually watched you do business globally on a bus in Tokyo, Japan. If people remember when we started to remodel the Coliseum, the Raiders are gone. So we're doing the Bud Light Terrace, and we're doing all these kinds of different things at the stadium. You were making sure all of construction was going on. We're all partying in Tokyo, and here you are, and you're writing emails and everything, and you're halfway across the world. So people need to know that you're working on this stadium year-round, all the time, and even when you're out of the country.
Well, that's the greatness of having a cell phone and having connectivity anywhere you can be, because, like I said, I'm accessible. So I on that trip, I was actually kind of thinking about maybe I shouldn't go because there was so much going on here. But I fully trust my staff, and I fully trust my contractors that I knew during that time. As long as I could touch base with them at the right time each day, because we have the time change difference. But I knew that I could still be a part of it and still get things done while being over there. And yeah, I did party too, by the way, when I was in Tokyo. So I had a good time as well.
So what people also need to understand, it's just not baseball. We have other events, whether it's concerts, it's motocross, it's monster trucks. Talk about how the responsibilities also away from just baseball.
Well, it's obviously changed after the Raiders left here, but I mean, we share this building, we share the field with the facility, and there'll be times when there'll be other events, sometimes during the season. As a matter of fact, next month there's a Bad Bunny concert. I think it's on the 14th of September, and in which I have to coordinate and I have to work with the facility to make sure that the stadium is ready for them, for their event, and then put back in place for us for our event. In the off season, we're done with our games usually in October. And then there's that gap where at the from October when our season ends until the season starts up again in usually mid to late March, that we're not doing anything in the stadium, and they'll have a monster truck, or they'll have a motocross event. But then we have to always put the field back in as well. So there's a lot of coordination, a lot of communication I have with the facility. I actually have every 2 weeks, I have a call with their management just to kind of go over things that we share together and work together on. So yeah, there's a lot of things. It's not just baseball, but since the Raiders left, it's a lot more baseball than other things.
Ever since I've been out of the treehouse because of COVID, and I've been doing a lot of shows back in the press box, and I've really been observing the stuff going on below me, because usually I'm on the field of the treehouse. I don't see stuff. You're in the stands a lot. And I know that the people in left field and right field and behind home plate and season ticket holders, you have a relationship with the fans. Now, obviously, year after year that changes. So just talk about, ever since you started doing this job, you've met so many different people. You interact with so many different fans, and I'm sure you've got friends, lifelong friends, always new friends coming in. Just talk about what it's been like all these years, your relationship with the A's fan base.
Well, I don't know how many I know, but I know hundreds of them out there, and I hear from hundreds of them during the baseball season. And a game like the game on Saturday against the Giants that we just had, I get worn out because I've got people all over the stadium, and they'll text me and say, "Hey, Rinetti, will you come up and see me? Rinetti, will you come up and see me?" I went from the East Side Club Suites over to someone's over in the Budweiser Hero Deck, over to the terrace seats, up to another suite. So I think I did 12 miles on that day, just visiting people. But I love talking to them, and but they're all over the place. But there are some that I see, regularly. But people that come out a couple times a year that know me, they text me, and I go by and visit them. So I like to talk to the people. I like to be out there, and like I said earlier, I like to be accessible to people. So it's great for me, and I know they enjoy it as well.
I have people ask me about Moneyball, and what I tell them is the game would end. Whoever won the game, everybody high fives, shakes hands, everybody leaves, fans leave. And a lot of time when I'm doing the post-game show, the stadium's just empty except Clay Wood and his staff working on the field. But the filming of Moneyball, I would sit there and watch them as I'm taking the phone calls. I'm sitting there watching them basically turn the stadium back into 2002, right? So you got to put the outfield wall that now has to say Fox Sports the way it used to in 2002. The scoreboards would change. The Montreal Expos all of a sudden were back in business, and Tampa is back to being the Devil Rays and not the Rays. So it was like fascinating watching them trying to get everything correct, and the way the outfield wall was different back then on how high it was or low it was in certain points. And then you got all the extras that are coming in, and you got the players and they're filming. That's what I saw, but I'm doing the post-game show. What was it like for you, the filming of the movie Moneyball, and just having to make all that happen?
Well, the whole thing started. It was MLK Day, and I think it was 2010 or 2009, 2010 or 2009. And I had the day off from work, and Billy Bean called me, and he said, "Can you come down to the stadium today? We're gonna have a meeting with Bennett Miller and Brad Pitt. Bennett Miller being the director, and Brad Pitt being obviously Brad Pitt.
I've heard of him."
So I said, "Well, I guess I can take today, go back into work today on that issue." So I came down here, and when that happened, I said, because I heard a lot about this possibly happened, and I said, "Yeah, right." But the fact that we were meeting directly, just the four of us, to talk about stuff, this was real all of a sudden. So that started it, and then I got to meet the production crew people, and then they had a couple more scouting events out at the stadium prior to them, setting the schedule and everything. And I do remember I was on a golf cart with Brad Pitt, just the two of us, and we had a high school baseball game going on at the stadium that day, and they had a food stand open right below where my office is here at Section 121. And Brad Pitt said to me, "Hey, Rinetti, would you like a hot dog?" I go, "Yeah, I'd like a hot dog, but can I tell my friends that Brad Pitt bought me a hot dog?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So then once again, I knew this was getting real. So they did the scouting events, and then we set up the schedule, and it was, I think, 11 days straight, starting at the end of August, I believe, and maybe it was the end of August and early September. And the A's finished a road trip on a Sunday, and then we were going to be gone until at least for 7 or 8 days. And so right after that game ended, like you said, they came in here and they changed all the pads on the outfield wall. They had to rewire lighting throughout. And so they did all this stuff to make it look like it was back to 2002. And then when the actual filming started, they had all these production people come in, and they had, they put out something to have fans come be a part of the movie, and they gave you hot dogs and soda or whatever. And so they had all the people they were coordinating out in the stands, and they started filming from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. for the night shots. And then that went all the way through while the team was away. And then when the team came back, we had a couple of night games, so they filmed some stuff during the daytime. But it was just incredible. It was a ton of work. It was a ton of fun to be a part of it. But for all the work they did over that 11 days, I think they only took about 2 minutes of film from there to put in the movie.
But more importantly, you had a hot dog with Brad Pitt.
I did. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, that's something like, oh, you know Brad Pitt? Well, yeah, we've had a hot dog together.
In my office here, if anyone ever came by my office was actually the office that they modeled the movie over for Brad Pitt. So they took my office here at the Coliseum and they made a prototype at Culver City at the studio. But so there was one scene where they shot from down in section 121 looking up into my office. And that night, it was like 2 a.m. Both Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill were here in my office while I was outside the door. So I have a photo in my office signed by the two of those guys from that night. So that's pretty cool.
You're a part of just not like some guy who's worked for the A's and is going to have a nice retirement. The A's have been your life, and you're a part of this family. And that's why I wanted to open up with Steve Vucinich and Keith Lippman, because they're the same way. Their entire adult life has been the Oakland Athletics. When you think about that family and what it means to you, not just you, but your entire family, what does it mean to you to be a part of the A's family?
It's the biggest honor I've ever had. Well, being in my own family obviously is my biggest honor, but being in this family with all the people that I've met along the way, all of the friends I've made along the way, all of the experiences that I've had along the way is, I don't even know what to say because it's so powerful and so great. So I love being a part of it. I've always loved being a part of it. And a recent former manager of ours, when he left, and Bob Melvin, when he left and went to San Diego, I sent him a text congratulating him, and he said, "You're green and gold, never, forever, and so am I." So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. You can hear the entire podcast. It's our new podcast, Inside the A's. These are the kind of stories you're going to get. There's a whole nother 15 minutes. But these are the kind of stories you're going to get. Brad Pitt buying Dave Rinetti a hot dog. Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt in his office. The office in the movie is based off his office. Stories like that you won't get anywhere else. We're going to go in depth with people that have been in this organization, really going in depth with the family is what it's like. People have been around here for a long, long time because that's how the A's roll. Everybody who's been around has been around. There's no newbies. Well, I mean, there's newbies that come in and out, but people that have been around the team and just around the organization, most people they've been around here a long time. We're going to celebrate these people. And we're going to give you, the A's fans, their story. And we're going to do it throughout the rest of the season, the offseason, into next year. You're going to get to know the A's. And that's why we're creating the podcast and have created the podcast Inside the A's. Well, that was a terrific show, huh, Commander? And by the way, we're going to be in the Treehouse when?
We're going to be in the Treehouse Friday from 4 to 5:30. For the happy hour and the Queen fireworks show.
Better bring Connect 4, Catherine Aker. She gave us Connect 4. Fans can play us with the Connect 4 game.
We're going to have another A's player that's from the Bay Area, like we had Paul Blackburn last time. I got to confirm. We're going to have Cal Stevenson join us in the treehouse.
Nice.
On Friday. So we'll have Mark Kotze, probably Dallas Braden, because Dallas is actually calling the game from out in the treehouse where Glenn will be in the booth. So Dallas will be in the treehouse. So we'll get him on. Kotze, Cal Stevenson, and it's going to be a good time out there. Quickly with the Rinetti interview, if you want to watch the full interview, it's on athletics or youtube.com/athletics. It's on the playlist A's Cast Live, and you'll see it right there. So I already have it uploaded to YouTube.
Just go to the A's YouTube page and you can find it.
Yeah, it's under. There's a playlist. You can, or search Dave Rinetti, and you'll find it.
Shouldn't be that hard to find, right? Go to the A's YouTube page.
Yeah, it's under. I have to upload them under a playlist, and it's under the A's Cast Live playlist, and then all of our interviews that I put up there are in there. And Rinetti will be the most recent one.
All righty, that's going to do it for A's Cast Live. We want to thank Roxy Bernstein, Paul Hembekides from ESPN, and Dave Rinetti, Vice President of Stadium Operations. Coming up next, A's Total Access getting you ready for, well, this is game 3 of the 4-game set. We are off tomorrow.
Correct, and back Friday at 4 in the treehouse.
Come see us in the treehouse. A's baseball coming your way next, right here on A's Cast.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone.